now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
And now for a taste of things to come.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Casa D18 Studios Channel, and welcome to today's installment of our Forgotten Gems series. I hope you all have been enjoying it so far, and you're at the point where you eagerly anticipate each new episode. I hope the lasting legacy of this show will be that I can expose you to a song that you may have either forgotten about or possibly have never even heard of, due to the fact that it's not really talked about much anymore. For today's song, we're going to venture away from the realm of rap and hip-hop, and instead we're going to take a trip to the country. Now, in our last episode, where we discussed Bone Thugs and Harmony's East 1999, I mentioned that when I was in college, I was a radio DJ on the college radio station, KLBC. Well, when I first arrived on the scene, there were already people in charge of programming rock, hip-hop, pop, and even Latin music on the station. However, the radio station had never had a country music programmer. So I, always looking for ways to stand out, became the first ever country music director liaison for KLBC. I would call up the record companies, secure copies of the newest CDs for radio airplay. I would review the albums for the station. That way, any DJ that might possibly want to play a song off the album knew what the best songs were and which songs weren't all that great. I would even tally up the airplay every week in order to see which songs were getting played the most, so that way we could record our very own top 10 country songs in the college music publications. Forgive me, it's been almost 30 years. I don't remember the name of the magazine. I mention all of that because the song we're going to discuss today, Almost Goodbye, which was written by Billy Livesey and Don Schlitz and performed by Mark Chesnutt, was released as a single on August 30th, 1993. I began college in the fall of 1995. By the point that I started at the radio station, Chesnutt was already beginning to fade from the spotlight. Now, prior to Almost Goodbye, Mark Chesnutt had already secured 3 #1 songs on Billboard's Hot Country Songs charts. Brother Jukebox in 1990, I'll Think of Something in 1992, and the single that preceded today's song, It Sure Is Monday from 1993. Almost Goodbye, also released in 1993, would be Chesnutt's 4th #1 song. It made it to #2 on the Canadian RPM Country Tracks chart, and he'd go on to have 4 more #1s afterwards. I Just Wanted You to Know from 1993 as well, which was the next single. Gonna Get a Life in 1995. It's a Little Too Late in 1996, and his version of Aerosmith's I Don't Want to Miss a Thing in 1998. Now, the album from which Almost Goodbye was taken, which was also called Almost Goodbye, seemed to be Mark Chesnutt at the pinnacle of his career, as he scored 3 #1 singles out of the 4 singles that were released from the album. In addition to his #1s, he had 12 other songs enter the top 10 of Billboard's country charts. Chesnutt also had his first 3 albums, Too Cold at Home, Long Necks and Short Stories, and Almost Goodbye, all certified platinum, as well as his later greatest hits offering. Now, Mark Chesnutt is known as one of the traditionalist titans of his time. So, what to make of this string-drenched ballad? Well, let's get into the lyrics. The first verse lets us know right out the gate what this song is about. Quote, "There was rain on the street last night as we stood beneath the front door light, and everything we said, we made sure the neighbors heard. You called me this, I called you that, standing on the welcome mat. Everything we felt, it all came down to just one word. But you couldn't say it, and I couldn't say it." So as you see, the writers are capturing a near breakup following a fight where everything we said, we made sure the neighbors heard. But before it can go too far, as they reach the moment where it all comes down to just one word, neither person is able to pull the trigger and end the relationship. We then go to the chorus. Quote, "You know I tried my best to go, and I know you cried because I hurt you so. It should have been easy to say that we were through, but to walk away from love was more than we could do. It was almost goodbye, almost goodbye." The lyrics show us that regardless of how easy it is to just throw your hands in the air sometimes and say, "I'm done," sometimes it's just not that easy. Now, as Mark begins the second verse, it almost comes off like the first day of the rest of his life, like he has survived a near-death experience. He says, quote, "Now there was sun through the blinds this morning when I opened up my eyes, and outside I could hear a mockingbird. I could feel your heartbeat as you lay there by my side. I thought of how the world could end with just one word. But you didn't say it, and I didn't say it. And when it comes to the second verse, I'm reminded of a scene in the movie Fight Club, where Tyler Durden puts a gun to the head of Raymond K. Hessel, who works at a convenience store. After Tyler scares the shit out of Raymond and lets him go, our movie's narrator, which is the character played by Edward Norton, asks Tyler, what was the point of that? And Tyler replies, quote,
Tomorrow will be the most beautiful day of Raymond K. Hassel's life. His breakfast will taste better than any meal you and I have ever tasted.
I feel like the implication is that we take things for granted a lot in life. And when we stop doing that, we can appreciate things more. Even Ferris Bueller said, quote,
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
For me, that sums up the second verse here in a nutshell. We go back to the chorus once again, and I'll spare repeating it before we go to the song's bridge, which I feel really drives home the point of the song. Mark says, sometimes the most important words are the ones you leave unspoken. And we then go into a final chorus, and the song fades out. Now, I feel that the true drama of the record comes from the string section, which seems to imply almost an alternative timeline where our narrator did not hold his tongue, and all that would have been lost if he or his partner hadn't stepped back from the precipice. I myself really love this song. I think we all can relate at some point because we all have been in relationships, had fights with our significant others, and almost pulled the trigger to end the relationship. As such, this song seemingly rips my soul out every time I hear it. Mark's Almost Goodbye album and the single that preceded this one, It Sure Is Monday, is how I first really discovered Mark Chesnutt. It's possible. I had heard Brother Jukebox or Bubba Shot the Jukebox, or I'll think of something on the radio prior to this, but it wasn't enough for me to really sit up and take notice of Mark Chesnutt. It Sure Is Monday made me sit up and take notice, while Almost Goodbye made me sit up and take notes. So what are your thoughts on Almost Goodbye, the song we've broken down today as a forgotten gem? Are you a fan of it? Have you even heard it before? Do you agree that it's a forgotten gem? Let me know. Leave your thoughts in the comments section, and let's discuss, debate, let's engage in some fun banter about the universal language, music. And I gotta say, I'm really curious to know how many of these songs that I'm discussing you guys have heard of before, because as you can see, this was a number one song for Mark Chesnutt. Granted, not on the Hot 100 Billboard charts, the mainstream charts. It was on the country charts, but it was still a number one song for the artist. That means it had to have been popular. It had a music video. It was in heavy rotation at the radio stations. It was played at the country bars and clubs. You know, people would go out line dancing. They'd always slow it up from time to time, get you that little slow jam in so you can get close to your partner before getting back into the line dance formation. Give you a chance to kind of catch your breath after all the exertion of energy. Have you heard of any of these songs? Because it just kind of goes to further illustrate my point, how these are forgotten gems if a song like this went to number one and you've never heard of it. And I get not everybody likes country music. Not everybody enjoyed the rap hip hop songs that I did previously. But that shouldn't matter. There's still songs that were popular and you should have at least heard of once or twice in passing, at least my humble opinion. But let me know again what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button, share the video, turn on that notification bell so you can be notified anytime we come up here with another Forgotten Gem. Until we go and we discuss our next Forgotten Gem. I am the Renegade J.J. Williams, thanking you guys for joining me here today. I will catch you guys next time.